All right, let's talk about graphic design. We're going to pull back the curtain and really get into the fundamentals, the rules that make a design either sing or just fall flat. Ready to dive in? Let's do this.
You know that feeling, right? You look at a poster, a website, whatever, and it just clicks. It feels right. And then you see another one that's just a total mess, confusing, chaotic. Well, I'm going to let you in on a secret. The difference isn't magic. It's psychology. There are these core principles, things our brains are literally wired to look for, that make every single great design work.
So, before you can build something amazing, you need to know what it's made of. It's just like building a house. You need your bricks, your wood, your nails, and in design, it's the same thing. Every single complicated, beautiful design you've ever seen is built from just a handful of super simple, fundamental elements.
And it all starts here, with the line. I mean, it's the most basic element there is, right? It just connects 2 points. But that simple connection creates a path for our eyes to follow. Lines are absolutely everywhere. They create textures, they divide content, they're even hiding in the paragraphs of text you read, creating structure and order.
Okay, so what happens when those lines connect? Well, they form shapes. And shapes are, without a doubt, the foundation of visual communication. Whether it's the octagon of a stop sign or the swoosh in a logo, shapes give our ideas weight and make them instantly recognizable. They're the core of icons, illustrations, basically our entire visual language.
Now we get to the fun part. This is where things start to feel real. Form is what takes a flat, two-dimensional shape and gives it the illusion of depth. You know, with just a little bit of light and shadow, a simple circle suddenly becomes a sphere. It gives an object a sense of place in the world and brings that little touch of realism to a flat screen.
Okay, so we've got our building blocks, our lines, shapes, and forms. So what's next? Well, how do we put them all together so they don't look like a total mess? This is where the principles of design come in. Think of them as the blueprint. And lucky for us, the 4 most important ones can be remembered with a very, memorable acronym, CRAP. First up, C is for contrast. And listen, this isn't just about black and white. Contrast is about making things stand out. The whole point is to avoid elements that are just kind of similar. The rule is simple. If 2 things are not exactly the same, then make them really, really different. Don't be shy about it. I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, that headline is barely noticeable. Your eye just kind of wanders. But on the right, bam! With that strong contrast in size and weight, the headline practically jumps off the page and grabs your attention. It tells you exactly where to look first. That's effective.
Okay, next up, R for repetition. This one is all about being consistent. When you repeat things, like a specific font or a color or a particular shape, you're creating a sense of unity. It makes the whole design feel stronger and more cohesive. And honestly, it's absolutely crucial if you're trying to build a recognizable brand.
And now, A for alignment. Oh man, this principle right here, this is what separates the pros from the amateurs. In a good design, nothing is just randomly plopped on the page. Every single element should have some kind of visual connection to another element, creating these clean, invisible lines that make the whole page feel organized and intentional.
You can totally feel the difference, can't you? That center alignment on the left creates these weird, raggedy edges. It just feels weak. But look at the right. By aligning everything to that single strong line on the left, the whole design instantly feels more structured, more professional, and way, way easier to read. And finally, P for proximity. This one's super simple. Stuff that's related should be grouped close together. I love the restaurant test for this. When you walk into a restaurant, how do you know which people are dining together? Because they're sitting closer to each other than they are to the people at the next table. Same idea. Grouping things tells us they belong together.
This business card is the perfect example. The one on the left is a disaster. Your brain has to work to piece the information together. But the one on the right, all the contact info is grouped into one neat, logical block. It's a single visual unit, so you can understand it all in a split second.
All right, we've got our elements, we've got our principles. Now let's talk about the big picture systems that give our designs their voice and their backbone. I'm talking about typography and grids. These are the powerful tools that really provide structure and personality.
You know, the font you choose is kind of like your tone of voice. Serif fonts, the ones with those little feet on the letters, they tend to feel more traditional, stable, maybe a bit classic. Think law firms. But sans serif fonts, without the feet, feel modern, clean, and super versatile. The trick is to pick a font whose personality actually matches your message.
And hey, here's a golden rule. If you're just starting out, tattoo this on your brain.
No more than 3 fonts. Seriously, using a bunch of different fonts is one of the fastest ways to make your design look like a cluttered mess. Just stick to 2, maybe 3 complementary fonts to keep things looking clean and professional.
Now, let's talk about the secret weapon of design, the grid. A grid is really just an invisible framework of columns and rows that helps you line everything up consistently. There's a famous saying that the grid is like the underwear of a design. It's there providing all this crucial support, but you're not actually supposed to see it.
And grids come in all shapes and sizes. You've got the simple rule of thirds, which is great for balancing photos. There are multi-column grids, which are the workhorse behind pretty much every magazine and website. And of course, you've got responsive grids, which are absolutely essential today so that your design looks awesome on any screen.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. But knowing the rules is only half the battle, right? So to wrap things up, let's do a quick lightning round of the most common beginner mistakes. But don't think of these as things to be scared of. Think of them as opportunities to make your work even better.
Okay, number 1, make sure people can actually read your text. Don't let it get lost in a busy background. 2, use your white space. It's not empty. It's an active element that lets your design breathe. 3, please never stretch or distort an image. It just screams unprofessional. And 4, keep your lines of text from getting too long. It makes them a real pain to read.
This quote is a funny but super important reminder about kerning. That's the little space between individual letters. If you start messing with it, you have to be careful. Because if that spacing gets too tight, a simple word can turn into something else entirely. Also, remember what you're designing for. Use RGB colors for screens and CMYK for anything that's going to be printed. Always have a clear visual hierarchy so people know what's most important. And this one is huge. Design for your audience, not just for you. And finally, stay consistent. Once you pick your styles, stick with them.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? It's this. Good design isn't some kind of magical talent you're born with. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding these simple building blocks and clear rules so you can communicate your message as effectively as possible.
So I'll leave you with this final question. The next time you create something, to stop for a second and ask yourself, when someone looks at this, what are they going to see? Are they going to see the message you were trying to send, or are they going to see the distracting mistakes that got in the way? That choice is all yours.